Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to be doing a chit chat get ready with me on this look right here. I'm actually recreating one of my own looks that I posted on Instagram on the 4th of July. So definitely check that out if you haven't already. Check out that post. Make sure you follow my Instagram to see new posts, of course. I'm going to be recreating this look and kind of talking about my life after graduation. And I graduated this time last year. It's been over a year now, a year and like a month. So I wanted to share my experience with that and how I've dealt with the post-grad blues. So if you guys are interested, please keep on watching. I'm just gonna jump into getting ready. So I am doing a look that I did the other day for 4th of July actually, but it's not like a red, white, and blue makeup look. It's actually very simple yellow eye, just to go with the outfit I'm putting on today. So what I wanted to do, kind of a sit down, get ready with me today and kind of just talk about life, or specifically life after undergrad, life after college, and kind of what they don't tell you or what's not really like talked about, kind of more under wraps. So I don't really know where to start on this topic, but I just want to say, like, life after undergrad is so weird. So what you kind of spend your life on, especially if you were really into school, like I had my moments of times where I was like not feeling school too much or whatever, like I didn't have the best grades sometimes or whatever, but I always had in mind that I was going to go to college, and that's just something that's been instilled in me for like my whole life, really. Like my mom always told me, like, you know, you need to work hard in school and like go to college, and that's how you're gonna be successful and everything. So that's what I pretty much did. Like I always had that in the back of my mind, like that was my goal. That's what I was gonna do next after high school, is just, you know, go to school some more. So I always had that in mind, and I feel like, you know, that gives your life kind of a purpose from the ages of elementary school on, at least till you're like 22, 23, 24 when you graduate finally. Like you have that long, like 19 years worth of like a goal. Like it's a very long-term goal when you think about it, because it's not just 4 years that you're working towards it. You're working towards that to grade 12 at least, and then the extra 4-5 years, however long it takes you to finish your bachelor's degree. So with that being said, like once I was done, and I feel like it's more common than not that like once you're done, you're confused and you're like, well, what's next? Like I've been working so hard. I've been working so hard for this one goal, and then I finally reach it, and it's like, okay, now what? Like, what do I do now? And that's how I felt for a really long time. Like when I was done, I wasn't working, so I was kind of like, oh, I'm gonna take this summer to kind of figure out what it is that I want to do next. And then I realized I had too much time on my hands. Like I started a job in July, and I had been out of school for only like a month, and so I didn't give myself time to kind of figure out what my next move was. But I felt like I was wasting time, and I feel like that's what a lot of people feel when you're like in your early to mid 20s. You're just like, I'm wasting time. Like if I'm not working or like doing something, I'm wasting time. And that's because I was always on the go, you know. I'm using the shade Access in the Morphe Jaclyn Hill eyeshadow palette. This is the Armed and Gorgeous palette. I feel like being always on the go and doing multiple things at a time. Like I was really never just focusing on school ever. Like since I was a sophomore, or I think a junior when I got my first job in high school, like I always worked and went to school. It was never just one or the other until the very last semester of college is when I like quit my job and focused on the last few months, because I had a full course load of like 22 units or 23 units, something crazy like that. And so basically I was physically not able to work and go to school. Like it would have been too much, especially because I was commuting all the way from San Francisco. Like I was just so used to having a full schedule every single day to not having anything to do, and I was like, I feel like I'm wasting my life. Like what am I doing? And you know, it's crazy because we're still so young, and like in the grand scheme of life, usually if you're living till you're like 70, 80 years old, like you not having your life fully together when you are 23 years old, it's really not that big of a deal. Like it's fine. And I feel like a lot of people kind of have that internal pressure, but also an external pressure to like, okay, well, you're finished with your bachelor's degree, now what? What are you doing now? And then I think about it and I'm like, what am I doing now? Like the job that I'm doing, do I think I'm gonna be there for the next like 10 years? I don't know. I feel like a lot more younger generations or millennial generations are still, they're not in the old mindset of how it used to be, where it was like you find a career in your 20s or whatever, and then you stay in that same job, you know, like 40 years until you retire or something. And that's definitely not the case anymore. Like people change their careers pretty often. So not knowing what you're doing is really not that bad. Like I wish I could have told myself to just chill. If I could go back to this time last year and just tell myself, dude, chill, you don't need to like find a job, I would have saved myself so many headaches. And that really leads me into my next point. Like don't rush into getting a job. I mean, I was really intrigued by like the amount of money that I can get for being right out of college versus like working 6 months prior to me graduating. Like it was a substantial amount of money added to my income. So I was like, oh, what? Yeah, I can definitely do this. Like it's no problem. And that's my bad. Like I didn't research really the company. I didn't like ask the right questions in interviews and everything. And I feel like it's really important to do so, especially because a job is something that you're usually gonna stay for a long time. Previously, when I was working retail, or like anyone that had worked retail, or like jobs that kind of just make your ends meet, that are more temporary, it doesn't really matter. Like you don't think about it too much, like asking like how the manager works and what's their managing style and stuff like that. That doesn't really occur to us, or like whatever, because it's a temporary position versus like a job that you get right out of college. Sometimes you want to stay a couple years so it looks good on your resume and helps you as a stepping stone to your next job. So I think that's something that no one tells you to ask, but I think you should definitely ask, like, what is the managing style of whoever you're reporting to directly? Because when you think about it, like you're working 5 days out of the 7 days of the week. So if you hate your manager, like you're gonna hate your job, and you're gonna end up hating a majority of your life, because a majority of your life is spent there. So if I can get any advice to anyone that is on the job hunt right out of school, is don't let the money blind you into taking a job that the culture, the management, anything that style is not fit for you in long term. You don't have to be staying there for the long term, but definitely keep that in mind, because it's gonna benefit your life so much. And I didn't realize that until I took a job that I didn't like, and the management style wasn't for me, the job duties weren't for me. Like also really pay attention to your job duties. Like the job duties were definitely not my cup of tea. They also added job duties that weren't in the job description. Like when I applied for it, there was a lot that I did not know. And I feel like a lot of companies, a lot of people will try to take advantage of recent grads, because they're like, they don't really know or whatever. So like always try to do your research beforehand and try your best to not get taken advantage of, because the more you know, the more it works to your advantage on what you should and shouldn't take from a job or a manager in general. Like I was thoroughly shook with the job that I took right out of college. I was like, whoa, like, do the benefits of this job, does the money, do the perks outweigh like how I feel every single day? Like I felt so degraded at my job, and like like not really cared about. Things I was doing, I felt like were not necessarily beneath me, but like it just wasn't in the description of what I signed up for. I feel like it was a lot different work than what I was used to doing and that I thought I was fit for doing. And the way that they treated me was really like not the best. Like there was a lot of microaggressions or passive aggressiveness or a bunch of that coming from my direct managers that sometimes it was like so draining on my mental health that I could physically not care less about that job. Like I called in sick, I like had to leave. Like you don't realize how much it really impacts you, because I've been unhappy at times in previous jobs where it was just like a fleeting moment of unhappiness, or like I was unhappy for a few months, or I was unhappy for a few weeks, or me and my manager were not doing the best terms or something like that. Like I've had that. I've never hated my job every single day going into work, and that ruined, deteriorated my mental health so bad, because I needed the money, but I was just like so drained every day. I used to wake up at like 6-7 a.m. just to get to work earlier so I could leave at like 3 or 4 p.m. so I didn't have to be with my managers for a portion of the day. I would take longer lunches, I would whatever I could. If they asked me to run an errand for them, I would take as much time as I possibly could, because I just hated the environment. I hated being around there. I hated everything. Versus now, like I have a job that has more freedom and they aren't so micromanaging onto everything that I do, and you wouldn't guess how better I feel. Like my mental health is way out of this world better than it was before. I'm gonna take the color Classified from the same palette, and I'm just patting this on with my finger ever so lightly and laying that down. The job I have now is basically day and night from my previous job that I had. Like my previous job also, like not really required, but they asked a lot of me even out of regular business hours, and that's also really draining. So that's another question I would ask, like what are your expectations when it comes to like overtime? Or a better way of asking that would be like, what are your standards for work-life balance here? What's the culture for that here in this specific job or whatever it is? Because if they're expecting a lot of overtime from you, that can also be really draining. I'm taking a little bit of coin and also popping that on. And then I'm gonna take a little bit of Gilt Trip and put that one towards the inner corner. That's pretty much all I'm gonna do for the eyes. I'm just taking that same crease brush I was using and kind of going over it. But yeah, these are all really important questions to ask before you get yourself in too deep. I'm gonna just take a little bit of this. Actually, I'm gonna take my Morphe Foundation today. Try something different. And I have the shade F260. Like I said, I would definitely ask like how their work-life balance is, how flexible they are with taking time off or leaving early or coming in earlier, or like how flexible they are to like working with a schedule that best fits your life. And a lot of bigger companies are more flexible. Like you just have to get your foot in the door in a nice company and do your research, find out like how happy their employees are really. The company I was working for previously was like a smaller company, and it didn't have like a big corporate office vibe of it, and that's not necessarily what I wanted either. Like I thought I had wanted like, oh, I want to work in a bigger company where no one really knows me. I kind of have anonymity. Sure, like close team I was working for in a bigger company would know me, but like not everyone would know me and stuff, and I can be more independent in what I was doing and stuff, and I thought that's what I wanted. And the job that I ended up finding is not like that at all. Like it's a small office, like the office is spread out though, and where the location of my desk is like far from everyone else's desk, So I don't have anyone looking over my shoulder, and that's the issue I had at my last place. Like, my boss was always looking over my shoulder. I sat right next to him, and it wasn't a comfortable feeling. Like, I didn't feel trusted in like what I was doing, and I wasn't doing anything that was super crazy. I just feel like my boss had such a micromanaging issue that I felt like my intelligence was being constantly questioned by the way he chose to micromanage everything. I was like, do you think I'm not smart enough to do so? And I don't know, I'm still very young. I still did not know how to handle those very uncomfortable situations. Like, I did not know correct way to come about it. And like I said, I was really thinking I wanted a bigger company. Specifically, when I was looking for my job after this, I was like, I want a bigger company that has a more established like HR and everything, because that first company I worked for didn't have an HR. Like, I didn't have anyone to go to and like with confidence tell them what the issues I was having with my boss were, because my boss is literally like the CEO of the company, and I couldn't really go to anyone above him and be like, hey, like, I'm having issues with him, or like this, that, whatever. Like, I didn't feel comfortable with doing so. So I don't know, just my advice is just do your research about the company and figure out what it is that you need, what kind of environment that you will thrive and feel the most comfortable in after grad. And really just try not to let anyone take advantage of you is like the biggest takeaway I had from this first year of life after graduating, really. But in addition to jobs, I think it's very important to kind of find yourself again. Like, we spend so much time as students, and adult students especially, like in college, like you're usually have more responsibilities. Like, you actually, some people move out of their family's house, or some people's parents require them that they pay rent or help in different ways around the house and stuff. So then you have like actual responsibilities and bills, and so besides work and school, you have this pressure that you didn't have like when you were in high school. And doing so when you're in college, like you always had this pressure. You didn't really have too much time. Like, you would try to, whatever time you did have usually in college, just like your social time, but you don't really take time for yourself. And I think that's also really important. Like, try on finding yourself, finding your hobbies again, and slowing down and still working on your self progress. Because I feel like a lot of times I felt really stuck afterwards, like, okay, well, now what? Like, I'm out of school, like, I feel like I'm not learning every day. I think it's really important to kind of just take time to work on yourself after the crazy years of college and doing work and school full-time probably and all that stuff. Take time to find what it is that you like to do again and work on yourself. Like, I recently started reading a lot of self-help books and autobiographies and kind of learning from other people. I just feel like even though I'm out of school, I don't want to stop learning, and I don't think I need to stop learning on the daily. Like, obviously I'm not going to force myself to go take a stats class, but just working on my own personal development and who I want to be as an adult, and working on whatever flaws I do have. So I think that's very important. And if you feel like you want that structure of your life again, like, don't be afraid to go back to school, honestly, because I mean, when I had quit my job, like, I was not working for a little bit, and I didn't know what direction my life was gonna go in. So I was like, I need to like get back in a classroom and like actually learn and have that kind of structure right now that I'm not doing anything, because I felt like my days were just blending into one another. Like, I wasn't doing anything productive and stuff. And like, it's okay to feel like that, and don't be afraid to like sign yourself up for a class. Even though you're done with school, you can still work on yourself. So that's all I'm trying to say. I ended up not even finishing the classes that I signed up for, because I ended up getting a job and it just didn't work well with my schedule. But I tried it. I did try it. I went back for, I want to say, I took classes for maybe like a month or 3 weeks. It's just really different once you get out of school, and then like, it's not like your classes aren't required anymore. Like, I don't have to go to a class. Like, I can just do it online. And like, it's really different. Like, I don't have to go to a class. Like, I don't have to go to a class. Like, I don't have to go to a class. Like, I don't have to go to a class. Like, I don't have to go to a class. Like, I don't have to go to a class. Like, I don't have to go to a class. Like, I don't have to go to a class. Like, I don't have to go to a class. Like, I don't have to go to a class. Like, I don't have to go to a class. Like, I don't have to go to a class. Like, I don't have to go to a class. Like, I don't have to go to a class. Like, I don't have to go to a class. Like, I don't have to go to a class. Like, I don't have to go to a class. Like, I don't have to go to a class. Like, I don't have to go to a class. Like, I don't have to go to a class. Like, I don't have to go to a class. Like, I don't have to go to a class. Like, I don't have to go to a class. Like, I don't have to go to a class. Like, I don't have to go to a class. Like, I don't have to do well in this class because like it's gonna affect my graduating time, and like I have to get this unit and everything. Like, since you don't have that pressure of like, oh, I have to finish this class, like I really easily lost my focus. But I feel like I would still take those classes again. I would just try to find a different professor and mode of class. Like, I probably would do it online. That works better for me and my schedule now that I'm doing a regular kind of 9-to-5 job, because the classes I was taking I think were from 6 to 9, so that would require me going straight from work to class, which a lot of people do. That's why they have the 6 to 9 classes. So like it's mainly all like older adults in the classes that come after work. So it's definitely doable, but I think I just needed a little bit more time to myself and to kind of recoup before taking another class like that. I just had to focus on my eyebrows real quick. But now I'm sure a lot of you guys know or have heard of the saying, if you're watching this video, like post-grad blues. And I definitely was a victim of post-grad blues to an extent where I felt so lost, and like I didn't know what it was I needed to do. And I felt like after, you know, putting so much emphasis on in my life on going to college and getting a good job, like the good job part of it like went in the back burner. Like, what is a good job? What do I define as a good job, or what does society define as a good job after college? Like, the self-comparison when you get out of college is so real. I don't know, you just don't know what you're doing, and so you want to look to other people to see what they're doing and see if that is what you should be doing. And it kind of like makes you kind of judge your own self, like, okay, well, is my success equivalent to their success? Like, they're working at a bigger company and it seems better and all that stuff, like they have better perks, but like deep down inside you don't know like what they're dealing with, or if they actually have a good work-life balance being at that cool company or anything like that. And you just have to think about yourself. Like, it's about yourself and how you feel and how happy you are at that place or working or anything. And that's why I said a lot, like it's a lot of you working on yourself even after school. Like, still take a class if you want to, still read a book if you want to, get some kind of, you know, spark in your life to kind of separate the everyday from blurring in together. Like, before it was, you know, you had a full schedule, you couldn't do anything. Like I said, it was like you go to work, you go to school, you go to work, you go to school, repeat. You need to find something that kind of breaks up your life, because after school it's just work. That's it. That's all you do, really, unless you make time to do something else. And that's something I'm still really trying to actively work on. Like, I have it in my planner every day. Like, I have a goals section, and like my goals are like go to the gym, read a book, take a walk, spend time with my friends, make plans with my family, like things like that, because it can be so easy to kind of just stay in your bubble after school and not venture out, not make life something that you want to enjoy or live. So I think that's really important to do, is give yourself these daily goals. Like, maybe I should reach out to a friend today, maybe I should make an effort to go outside, like make a plan to do something outside of work. Like, work can be so consuming after graduation, and it's really crazy. And sometimes I'm like, I just want to go back. Like, can I just go back? Like, I'd rather just be back in school, because at least I had a goal. I knew what I was working towards. And right now I feel like I don't have a goal. Like, I don't know what I'm working towards in the long run. Like, what is my next 5-year goal? What's my next 4-year goal? What am I going to achieve in the next few years? Also, when you get in your 20s, then it's a lot of pressure on like, what are you gonna do? Are you gonna have kids? Are you gonna have a family? Are you gonna, what's next? And you know, like when I was in college, it was like my only goal is to graduate. That's my goal. Now I'm like, okay, well, what is my goal next? Like, I don't want it to be like just kids or like family oriented. Like, that's important, but I want something for myself, like my own self. And I'm still working on it. I don't know. I'm just saying, like, that could be something you should think about if you have graduated already, and if you haven't yet but you're almost going to graduate, think about that. What am I going to achieve after I achieve this? That's really what life's about. Like, what's next? Don't forget to live. And I sat myself in the eye. That really is though what life is about. Like, what's the next move? Don't forget to cherish the moment that you're in now. And I learned that a lot after college too. Like, I used to be so on the go. What is next? What am I gonna do next? Sometimes you just have to stop and think. Like, be grateful for what it is now. Okay guys, I just want to kind of end up the video now. I'm going to go ahead and take my lippy because my camera is about to die. I'm taking Kylie's Middle Finger Velvet. This is a Kris Jenner collection. Applying that on my lips. And this look is almost complete. I'm just gonna go ahead and curl my lashes and add some mascara. My last clip kind of ended abruptly just because my phone died, and that's what I'm filming this on. But I hope you guys got something from the video. Like, I kind of just wanted to share my own experience of my life after grad, and like say like post-grad blues are real. Like, you don't have to be like literally depressed, you can't get out of bed, but you do kind of feel kind of lost and like don't know what's coming next or what you should be working on next. And I just want to say, like, always just choose yourself, like work on yourself, find what you want to do in life. And sometimes it takes like doing something wrong. Like me getting that job right out of college, like that was something wrong for me, and it took me to do that to realize what it is that I do want from an employer, what it is that I do want from my place of employment, what kind of culture I want. And like learning that stuff is really important because it will directly affect your life. Like I was saying, don't be afraid to make the wrong steps, and if you do, just be grateful because you kind of learn more about yourself and what you want to do next, and kind of how to approach situations better going forward. So yeah, this is pretty much the finished look. I'm gonna just kind of take my brush and kind of blend a little bit more because I did clean up a little bit under my brows. But yeah, this is the finished look. I hope you guys enjoyed this kind of chit chat with me, and I'd love to hear about you guys' experiences, and so feel free to DM me. Go ahead and comment it down below, kind of if you found this video helpful, or what was your experience of life after graduation. How did you feel? I would love to know. How did you handle the post-grad blues? Like I said, setting goals for yourself and working on yourself and your self-development, doing things that make you happy, those are all things to kind of help that post-grad blues. Spend a lot of time with your friends, reconnect with your friends from high school that you haven't seen. Maybe you guys all moved away from college, like reconnect with people. Definitely, I think that's helpful. I will put all of the info below about what I used on my face, since I didn't really talk about it during the video, since I was, you know, doing the chit chat portion of it. And thank you guys so much for watching, and I will talk to you guys in my next video. Bye.